Hi there guys, welcome back to the channel. Once again, we are diving into the King John book, and this time our eyes are gazed upon the Scottish retinue, and for me this is fresh. I have not gazed upon the Scottish whatsoever. I know Charlie has.
I have.
So we've got lots of rabbling through.
I've noticed as I'm getting older, I have more appreciation for really aggressive armies. I don't know what it says about my life to date, but normally I'm the sit back and watch what happens kind of player. But the Scottish are the entire opposite to that. They want to get forward. They want to get stuck in. And I think all of their traits and their abilities and their units, it's all about getting stuck in the fight.
From my skimming over the past 10 minutes, I've gone, all right, okay, these guys have got one job.
Yeah.
They don't want to hold the line.
Stab.
They don't want to hold an objective. They want to charge forward and win by default killing.
Yep, indeed. Cool. So there are two traits. I will attempt for what is probably the 6th or 7th time to get this right today. The Exercitus Scotanicus. No, Scoticanus. Damn it.
Exercitus Scoticanus. Andy, why did you put this?
Confidence.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I had to go A for effort.
The bravado was there, mate.
If confidence was currency, so it'll be up there.
Exercitus Scoticanus.
Yes.
I just want to do the C before the T. That's
Scoticanus.
Yeah.
Scoticanus. Okay. Anyway,
the trait, their main trait, and I think we're going to have to get straight into what Rabble is after this.
Yes, it has a lasting effect on the rest of the rules.
And Rabble is something that is just an inherent thing across the whole Scottish retinue list. So, Scottish groups with the Rabble ability, because there is a rebel ability, the Rabble ability, which are within command range and line of sight of a Scottish baron or lord who is not broken, roll an additional d10 for their morale check to override their compulsory action and choose which to use. Alternatively, if they do not attempt to override their compulsory action, Scottish groups with the Rabble ability, which are inspired by a friendly Scottish baron or lord, gain 2 attack dice rather than 1. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think a very savvy commander will use this to maximum destruction.
A very savvy, yeah. I think you're absolutely spot on with the word in there, savvy commander, because you've got to attempt not to override that compulsory action.
So let's talk about what that compulsory action is.
Talk about that.
So Rabble, so we've got to remember that compulsory actions require a group to act in a specific way when it activates. It's not the same as compulsory activations, which force a group to activate at the start of the round. So compulsory action is something they have to try and do when they activate.
You don't have to activate a Rabble group at the start of your turn. You can activate it whenever
you like.
Just what they do when you activate them.
Exactly right. So, Rabble as an ability. When a group with Rabble activates using its own action, it is subject to compulsory action. If an enemy group is within potential charge range and line of sight, it must take a charge action and target the closest enemy group. Otherwise, it must take a move, not a run, action and move its full movement distance towards the closest enemy group in line of sight. If the Rabble wishes to take any other action, it must pass a morale check.
Right, and if you choose to pass that morale check to act independently away from this, you do not gain the +1 expire dice to the attack or shoot. Not on defense, it's only +1 on defense. So if you are more in a defensive situation, it's fine. But again, these guys are all about.
And what is even cooler about Rabble is it does reduce the cost of the unit that it's been given to, because it is an inherent
it's -1
ability. Yes, yeah.
I missed that.
So that brings us to their second trait.
Yes.
Which is horseless classes. A medieval Scottish retinue is not subject to the usual requirements to spend at least 10% of its points on green troops. Mm-hmm. Instead, it must spend at least 20% of its points on groups with the Rabble ability. But there are plenty of choices of groups with Rabble.
And the Rabble ability, from what I've just, glanced over, applies to green and irregular.
Largely green and irregular, isn't it?
Yeah, so I don't mind the extra 10% increase on taking irregular troops, as opposed to me personally taking 10% on green troop. But I always look at a force, how to beat it. Because then I'm through with it. So really, in my head now, I'm thinking, right, I need at least 2 green levy units just to put
Big
forward.
green heavy unit, green levy
And
units,
just pray for the best for them and screen, and then just wait for the inevitable.
Yes, and hopefully the attrition that's kind of kicked in at that
The
point.
attrition of buildings,
So if we take a look at the unit profiles, and then what we'll do is we'll pick out any of the really exciting inherent abilities outside of Rabble as we go through. So they have access to barons, mounted barons, just like most of the other retinues. They are exactly the same. They can have bannermen, musicians, priests. The command group must be formed by knights. The mounted baron is the same, but with mounted knights, access to mail, battle axe, sword, etc.
Same as
all the other stuff. Then you have the medieval Scottish lord. Again, same as most lords, right?
The Gaelic lord.
Yeah.
This guy's...
The Gaelic lord is very interesting. He's a tier 2, so much like the standard Scottish lord.
Yeah.
He comes with commander and bloodlust. So let's look at the inherent ability bloodlust.
I can take or leave bloodlust. I can take or I can leave it.
Yeah, so the command group is subject to compulsory action, much like Rabble.
Yeah.
When it activates, if an enemy group is within line of sight and charge range, it must declare a combat action to charge that group unless it passes a morale check to take a different action. So line of sight and charge range, it's about 15 inches charge range. Is it? Yeah, maybe not quite that.
Not quite that, no.
No, so you're not ever going to be, you'd have to really game it to try and force that out of this Gaelic lord. I think you'd probably be able to do it on your terms if you wanted to.
Yes, but it's all circumstantial. It's all situational.
Yeah,
it depends.
You're probably largely holding your commander back for late game plays, aren't you? And I think if you wanted to throw him towards an objective to shift something that's been weary attrition, that's when you would throw him forward and be like, "I'll take this compulsory action." Because when determining the strength of the charge, the command group rolls an extra d6 and chooses the highest result. So. You think you put it perfectly efficient for 6s. You want to roll 2d6, hoping that one of them is a 6 because it gives you that extra damage in.
But also the other end of the scale, it does mitigate that 1.
It mitigates the 1 indeed. It mitigates the 1.
So actually...
So unless you're rolling snake eyes.
Yeah, which I probably would.
Especially on that clutch moment.
But, at level 2 Lord, veteran, I'll be quite confident that I could override that order. Unless I wanted the charge, unless I wanted to do that, and I'll take that all day long. Yeah.
So he can take a pennant, a musician, a priest. His command group must be Galwegians, though, which I think is quite interesting. So we'll skip ahead to the Galwegians. So they are. You can take them irregular, regular, or veteran. They come with hurly-burly, reputation, and weapon choice.
Interesting.
So weapon choice allows them to have both a ranged weapon and a melee weapon, which is really cool.
Lots of utility there. When you drill down into that detail, you're like, whoa, hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah.
So you can have a really flexible commander in this Gaelic.
Oh, can Glaswegians take...
Galwegians.
Galwegians, sorry.
I think of them as Glaswegians.
Yeah, but apologies for anyone.
Watching.
Absolutely not. Call me what you want. Theric Archers, coupled with that unit.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that in a moment. That could be very...
Well, they come with hurly-burly, first and foremost,
yes, of course, yeah, hurly-burly.
So this is quite... So when a group with this ability charges, which, again, they may be forcing themselves to charge at some point
with
through bloodlust.
With the Lords, definitely.
A charges or attacks back in melee, it may re-roll any attack dice. Any attack dice. So just the failures, you pick those up, you re-roll them. However, The enemy then generates an equal number of bonus attack dice back. So let's say you've rolled 6 dice, three successes, 3 failures. You pick up the 3, you roll them, you get 2. Your opponent gets 3 attacks back. Granted, they've still got to go through the whole dice rolling process too, but it is a bit of a risk-reward situation. I like it, but it's on your terms. You choose if you're going to re-roll those dice.
Yes, exactly. You may. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I would probably use that on like depleted units that I just want to get rid of, because if you kill the unit, will they get to attack back before they die?
Indeed. And here's another bit. Added to that, they also have reputation.
Oh, yes, this is good.
Always count the enemy as having 1 additional morale penalty in melee. So you've got that hurly-burly, that reroll.
Yes.
You know, you've got the successful charge where you're probably going to get your better chance of kind of getting in, and maybe even a better chance of getting those 6s. Mm-hmm. And when they're fighting you back, they've got an extra morale penalty. These things. I mean, I'm up for this Gaelic Lord. I'm really up for this Gaelic Lord. I think
it's Galwegians.
It's Galwegians. Yeah, Gaelic Lord with his Galwegians, which is cool. So he has access to battle axe, sword, dane axe, padded, mail, medium shield, large shield, and like I say, you can take a pennant, musician, priest, etc.
Yeah, but Galwegians can take a dane axe or bow.
Yeah,
and bow. Sorry, and bow.
Yeah, dane axe and bow.
And bow. Can I just get the... sorry, continue. I don't know. I was going to jump ahead to Etheric Archers then, but I'll save that.
We'll come back. Yeah, we'll come, because we can stick around many...
Yeah, true.
So we then got knights, again, very similar to all your other knights, mounted knights. You've got Scottish light cavalry, which are a little bit different to your mercenary cavalry. They have rabble too, if they're green and irregular. So when you're looking at that 20%, you've got to fill with rabble, you could take light cavalry for that if you wanted to, which is quite interesting. So they have nimble as well as rabble. I'll swing back to what nimble does. So nimble, the group treats difficult terrain as passable and very difficult terrain as difficult. In addition, the group may swim in deep rivers and lakes. But the fact that they get to treat difficult terrain as passable and very difficult terrain as difficult makes that cavalry incredibly mobile.
Yeah. But then again, you can take a full mounted Scottish list.
You could take a full mounted Scottish list if you wanted to. Of course you could. I
look at the...
Unless you're taking a Gaelic Lord, because he doesn't get a horse, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, but a full mounted Scottish list, like... But they still get the combat perks.
Yeah.
Like the Exertis Scottish... Canis.
Yeah.
They still get that.
Yeah.
So
they get the extra dice in charging, cavalry.
Variety.
Yeah.
Bringing someone to the table that you'd not expect to see.
The only thing is, if they have a mount, if there's a clash there, we have to check that with Andy. It's regular plus for a horse.
But then nothing for a pony.
But nothing for a pony. So it's okay for ponies. Yeah, good ponies.
That's still mounted, a full mounted list in my
Yeah.
That would remind me of, the Robin Hood film. Yeah. It's like, Locksley, line of your men. And there's some ponies rock out. Get them forth. They can take javelins as well, which is interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Yes. Okay.
Tons of flavour in this.
Yeah, definitely tons of flavour.
Completely different to everything else, which is what I really like about it. There's no smatterings of anything else.
No.
Apart from knights and mounted knights, which, to be honest, just completely overlooked for all of the other fun Scottish stuff in here. I'm all about the Galwegians, to be honest. But Scottish burghers. So Scottish burghers, these are, I guess, you're more, veteran troops. You can take them a regular veteran. They come with a resolved ability. We'll come to that in a second. Battle axe, spear, sword, falchion, bill, padded or mail, small or medium shield. And they're special. A group of Scottish burghers with spears or bills may take spear hedge as an additional inherent ability for +1 point. This doesn't count towards purchasable abilities. So if they've got a spear or bill, and spear hedge is pretty cool. I quite like spear hedge, that extra when you're being charged.
Yeah.
That fight back on defended attacks is pretty cool. You then get to give them another purchased ability. These guys could be pretty tasty if you want them to be. Expensive, granted.
Yeah, grant's expensive, but all of a sudden you've got a unit that has as many abilities, access to abilities as a Baron.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
Which two of them inherit, yes. But
Yes,
still.
granted. And look, Resolved is not to be shirked at.
Spearhead is great. Resolve, remind me of Resolve.
So provided the group has at least twice as many warriors as morale penalties,
It adds +1 to the
it adds
morale.
+1 to morale checks.
So they're going to stick around.
Yeah.
And with...
So you're kind of going to take them in larger groups because the bigger they are, the chances are you're going to have a higher number than your morale penalties.
You take them as veterans.
And you can take them as veterans.
With mail and shields.
Yeah. And spears or bills. I'd stick them with bills.
I'll stick them with bills. I'll just stick 5 of these guys somewhere and say, come at me.
Shift me. Yeah.
Move me.
And then we stick another purchased ability on them as well.
Which...
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious me, the purchased abilities.
You know, and that's just their list. There's also all the generic purchased abilities they've got. Let's move on.
Yes, please.
Scottish crossbowmen, regular or irregular. They have resolved as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, they're sticking around. Come with crossbow, padded or mail if they're regular. Pretty easy unit to look at. You want some range. They're pretty cool. I quite like them. Then you've got the Scottish Lowlanders, which are your kind of peasant levy-esque unit, I guess, to a degree. You can take them green all the way to veteran. If they're green or irregular, they have Rabble. So again, filling that Rabble spot. They come with spears or bills, padded armour, small shields if they've got spears, medium. Small or medium if they've got spears.
So if they're regular,
Small only if they've got bills.
Yeah, but if they're regular, they can take spearhead, bills, and they can be padded.
Yes.
And medium shields.
Yeah.
That's pretty good,
That's
actually.
quite versatile in one unit.
Yeah, unless, of course, you're equipped with a bill. There's lots of versatility there, and it can add towards your Rabble allowance, or your commitment, sorry. Okay, so it's kind of... You can dress them up. They're like a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
They are the Scottish jeans. They're like they're a pair of jeans. Dress them up or dress them down. That's cool.
So then we've got your Scottish bowmen, green to regular. If they're green or irregular, they are Rabble again, which is good. You're filling that Rabble. I probably wouldn't want them Rabble though. Like you want to stick your Rabble on the guys you're chucking forward, and bowmen just don't want to do that really, do they?
Not really, no.
But if you take them regular, they have Skirmisher.
They do have Skirmisher.
Which I will read out for you now. So Skirmisher, the group gains +1 to its defense rolls against ranged attacks, which is nice. Again, what tends to happen to your archers? They get shot at by other archers.
You take out
in addition, the group may swim in deep rivers and lakes. It's one of those most situational things.
Do you know, I'll be honest, do you know why we always laugh when we say deep rivers and lakes? We're like, what's a deep?
It's because we don't own any. I'm going to have to make a lake.
A lake.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make a lake and stick it on a board. But like, there you go. Scottish love this. Yeah.
Big lake in the middle of the board.
Yeah.
A lot. Sorry, yeah.
I'll have a little Nessie in it and stuff. It'll be a very stereotypical here, I know.
Whoa. Chops.
Then we've got the Galwegians, who we've kind of looked at.
Yeah. We have, inadvertently, apologies, the Gaelic levies.
Ooh, something to point out though with the Galwegians.
Yes.
Galwegians chosen in a Scottish retinue may not use a Scottish lord or baron's morale and suffer a -1 penalty to order checks when using a Scottish lord or baron's command actions. This restriction does not apply to the Gaelic lords. Ooh. So worth being aware of in that respect.
I mean, you can take one without the other, but it you know.
It depends what you're trying to do with your roster at the end of the day, isn't it?
You want chips and rice, right? Yeah. You want chips and rice. You don't just want chips.
I'm going all in on the chips.
Chips and rice. No, I'll take chips and rice. I don't want any, modifiers against me.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
And plus, they can only go with Galwegians. So him and a unit of them, just chuck them forwards, and then while your Scottish bowmen with Skirmishers as well, which is really good.
It is. And maybe your Etheric.
My Etheric archers.
We'll come back to it. We've got one more unit to cover. is the Gaelic levies.
Yeah.
So these very much are your equivalent of your peasant levy. Green or irregular. They are nimble, again, which is cool. And they have rabble, access to hand weapons, battle axes, javelin, spear, sling, improvised two-handed weapons. Javelin's interesting, which is good.
Yeah.
And then they can get
javelin.
small shields, no armour, obviously. They are levy at the end of the day. But that's probably the unit you make masses of and just fire them. Just run ahead.
How much they're like? What are they? 9
points for green.
Okay, I'll take 10 of them then.
Yeah.
It's 100 points. See you later.
Yeah.
You know.
And what was Nimble doing for them again? Yeah, they get the moving through. So
Through. Yeah. Just.
And like I said at the very beginning, this retinue just wants to get forward, get in your face, and cause havoc. Unless, obviously, we'll get on to Gaz's Atteric. Is it Atteric?
It's the only one thing that I've read that I can't get out of my mind right now.
Yeah, your
Ettrick. I don't want to say etheric.
The Royal Forest of Ettrick had a long reputation providing archers.
There we go. So these are the retinue-specific purchasable abilities from the Scottish retinue list. The inherit abilities. We've been through hurly-burly. We've been through spearhead, weapon choice. So then, this 2-cost per model for archers may only be chosen once per retinue, which I completely agree with on this one, because if you listen to this and think, hang on, if I had that on like 2-3 units, yeah. Once per game, when it uses its shoot action and is not wary, the group may immediately become wary. Each warrior generates 2 attack dice instead of 1.
Stick that on a big block of archers.
Stick that on the biggest block of archers you can, and you're doubling your shots.
Yeah.
For the price of becoming wary.
Now, I said, if near the end of the game, you want to get rid of that unit that's on an objective or whatever. But as you pointed out, early game, you want to get some early game wins on the table. You want to get rid of that unit before it's a menace.
And use it before you've taken any attrition.
Because
each shot is 2 dice down.
Yeah.
So if you have
your regular bowman,
unit, 16 dice coming in.
Yeah. Tasty. Very tasty.
That is extremely tasty.
You can also take Forager, which I really, really like. So a group with this ability counts as having 2 extra warriors when claiming an objective.
I do like that.
Really, really good.
I think we'll see that come up more and more with the availability throughout the lists we covered so far. I think we're going to see Forager coming out the woodwork more and more.
Yes, yeah.
Give me the comment. What Gina's got Forager? Okay, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Atteric archers, get him.
No quarter I quite like, particularly obviously for this retinue. A group with this ability must always attack back when charged. If it has an action available, it must use this action. If it does not have an action available, it will attack back but becomes weary, and the charging group gains a bonus attack dice. So, but it's that ability to just get that extra action and become weary. You know, like if you've got your levy and you've thrown them forward, you're using that rabble ability to inspire them, and then they get countercharged and they've got no quarter. They're fighting back regardless of whether they've performed an action. It sucks. They take a weary, but if they're already weary, who cares?
But even if they don't have an action available, or you don't have an action available, they still get an attack back. Yeah. Even if they're weary. If they've got 2 actions on them, they're probably going to be weary anyway.
Exactly.
And yes, so the only negative to this really is that the charging group gets a bonus attack dice.
Yeah. And if you've got a huge block of, levy, Gaelic,
double larger shots here.
Raiders is one as well I really, really enjoy. After deployment, the group can make a single free move action before the game starts. So again, if you want to use that rabble ability to maximum effect, you can bait and switch. You can just chuck that unit out there and be like, you know what, that's my distraction unit. They're rushing forward and they're going to use that rabble ability to just cause havoc.
Well, you can run as well. If you want some early presence, shall we say, or disruption to your opponent's thought process, and you just run a unit, you just run it, and they're like, "Whoa, what do I do with that?"
Yeah, can you get them to an objective through that? Depending on the deployment zones.
And in the scenario,
if they run, they become weary and then cannot run in the first round. But they can
still move.
But they've kind of already done it, right?
They can still move.
Still move. Yeah.
Still move.
Yeah.
Or shoot. A lot of food for thought. That's what I'm saying. You know, that's me. That's me. This is your list.
It's really cool.
This is your list.
I do like the Scottish. And what I've loved so far is every retinue is different to the last. Am I taking mercenaries with my Scots? Probably not, no. I mean, you could. You absolutely could. But for me, I'm taking the Scottish as that all-out berserk rage charge retinue. Rushing forward.
I don't think I'd take mercenaries. I don't think you'd need to.
No.
No, I'm trying to think of a gap to plug. Maybe some line holders.
Yeah, something for your backboard objectives and stuff.
Yeah, maybe some line holders or some mid-board
But is that
dominance.
just your Scottish archers, that are just going to sit back as regulars holding you?
But what's the point of having mid-board dominance if your whole entire army is just chewing through...
Down someone's throat.
Yeah, exactly. The enemy army, so...
Indeed.
Redundant points. But no, you're absolutely right. Tons of flavour in these retinues, and I'm sure the next one we're going to, the Welsh. The Welsh will have tons of flavour as well. I know the Outlaws do, because that's what I've been focusing on.
Looking forward to that one, yeah.
I'll forget all the text and be like, what's that do? But I'm looking forward to the Outlaws. But is that it for the Scottish?
That's it for the Scottish.
Okay.
Let us know what you think.
As always.
Tune in for the next one.
Yeah, see you later.